Kyrie Irving hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history in 2016, the dagger that gave Cleveland its first championship. In that moment, he looked destined for greatness. But instead of a smooth climb, his career spiraled. He kept scoring at an elite level and making all-star teams, yet drama followed him everywhere. He forced his way out of Cleveland, Boston fell apart under his watch, and Brooklyn became a disaster. By the time he left the Nets, people called him toxic, a star who couldn't be trusted. But in Dallas, something changed. In the 2023-24 season, Kyrie embraced leadership, stayed focused, and alongside Luka Doncic, nearly pushed the Mavericks back to the finals. This is the rise, the fall, and the rise again of Kyrie Irving.
Before all the drama, Kyrie Irving was just a kid who lived and breathed basketball. With both parents being former players, the game was in his blood. He was so obsessed that he dribbled everywhere and even wrote on his wall that one day he'd make the NBA. In high school, though, size was his biggest problem. As a freshman, he was only 5'7" and skinny, easy to overlook. By sophomore year, he hit 5'10" and was averaging 29 points. But nobody cared since he played in New Jersey's lowest division. Kyrie never stopped grinding. By senior year, he reached 6'2" and everything clicked. His handle, his shot, his confidence. Suddenly, he was unstoppable, earning All-American honors, co-MVP at the Jordan Brand Classic, and a spot as one of the top 5 players in the country. Kyrie Irving had every big school chasing him, but he chose Duke to prove himself on the biggest stage. From the start, he was electric, putting up 17 points and 5 assists a game with shooting splits that looked unreal. 54% from the field, 45% from deep, and 90% at the line. People were already calling him the best freshman in the country, but then disaster hit. A serious foot injury cut his season short, and many thought his dream year was over. Still, Kyrie came back just in time for March Madness, and even though Duke fell to Arizona, he showed why he was special. On that stage, under those lights, he looked like the most talented player in college basketball, a star who was clearly ready for the NBA. At the 2011 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers had an easy choice, selecting Kyrie with the first overall pick. Immediately after the draft, Irving reached out to a famous trainer, Michael Lancaster, who pushed his ball handling into a new stratosphere. Lancaster made Kyrie keep his dribble so tight that he could swat away opponents' hands like flies while handling the basketball. They also worked on his footwork and balance, and all that hard work paid off. Kyrie immediately made his mark in the NBA. He was just 3 votes shy of becoming a unanimous Rookie of the Year. In the next 2 seasons, he made the All-Star team each year, became the All-Star Game MVP, as well as the MVP of the 2014 FIBA World Cup. His ball handling made him a superstar, and his victims ranged from Brandon Knight to Kobe Bryant and the entire USA Olympic team. Despite all the highlights, Kyrie Irving's career in Cleveland felt empty because the Cavaliers were still a disaster. He could put up flashy numbers, but the team wasn't even close to the playoffs. That all changed when LeBron James came home. In LeBron's first year back, he carried the Cavs to the finals, but injuries to Kevin Love and Kyrie left them short-handed, and Golden State took advantage. By 2016, Kyrie was finally healthy when the playoffs began, and what followed was a show that put his name in NBA history. The Cavs bulldozed their way through the East, and Kyrie averaged 25 points on insane efficiency, proving he was built for the big stage. Then came the 73-9 Warriors, a juggernaut no one believed could be beaten. Down 3-1, Cleveland's season looked dead, but LeBron and Kyrie refused to quit. In Game 5, both dropped 41 points, with Kyrie torching Golden State from everywhere on the floor, hitting 17 of 24 shots and dropping threes over hands in his face like it was practice. The Cavs forced a Game 7, but the entire season came down to one play. Tie game, 89-89, the clock running down. Kyrie versus Curry. One dribble, step back, deep 3, splash. Kyrie Irving from downtown. That shot ended a 52-year championship drought in Cleveland, cemented LeBron's promise, and made Kyrie immortal. When the Warriors added Kevin Durant, it felt like the ultimate cheat code. The Cavs still made the 2017 finals, but against that Bay Area juggernaut, they had no chance. Kyrie was brilliant, averaging 29 points on elite shooting, yet Cleveland lost in 5. That loss lit a fire. He was tired of being Robin to LeBron's Batman. Kyrie wanted his own team, his own spotlight. Then came the bombshell. Without warning, he asked for a trade. The Cavs could have kept him, But dealing with an unhappy star was risky. Just a month later, the shock hit. Kyrie Irving, the man who had delivered the biggest shot in franchise history, was sent to the Boston Celtics in exchange for an injured Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder. It was the end of one chapter and the start of another storm.
Kyrie's career twisted the moment he asked out of Cleveland, a team that had just been to 3 straight finals. Then came the media storm. On a podcast, he claimed the Earth was flat, later saying it was a social experiment. But the damage was done. The controversy stuck to him. Injuries followed, forcing him to miss the 2018 playoffs and watch from the bench as Boston fell to LeBron's Cavs. When the next season started, Kyrie promised fans he'd re-sign, but things quickly unraveled. After a loss to the Knicks, a reporter wished him happy Thanksgiving, and Kyrie snapped, "F Thanksgiving," explaining later it was because of his Native American roots. The way he said it drew headlines everywhere. By January, the cracks were obvious. He called out Boston's young players, saying they didn't know what it took to win, and then admitted he called LeBron to apologize for being immature, which only made his teammates feel more isolated. Soon after, when asked again about free agency, Kyrie turned cold, saying he didn't know anyone and would do what was best for his family. By the playoffs, chemistry was gone. In the second round against the Bucks, Kyrie had the worst series of his career. After Game 4, when asked about his struggles, he dismissed it with, "Who cares?" and claimed he should have taken 30 shots. In Game 5, Boston collapsed by 25, and Kyrie shot 6 for 21. He finished the series at 35% overall and 22% from 3. In just 2 years, he went from Boston's savior to being blamed for tearing the team apart, leaving the franchise relieved to see him walk away.
Kyrie's next chapter was one the NBA world saw coming. At the 2019 All-Star Game, cameras caught him and Kevin Durant whispering on the sideline, and everyone guessed they were planning something. Months later, it became real. Both signed with the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie's debut was unforgettable, a 50-point explosion, the most ever in a team debut. It felt like Brooklyn had landed a dynasty piece, but the dream cracked quickly. He averaged a career-high 27.4 points, yet a shoulder injury ended his season after just 20 games. Then came a podcast with Durant where he said, "We don't really need a coach," and suddenly questions about leadership followed him everywhere. The hype returned in 2021 when Durant was healthy and the Nets traded for James Harden. On paper, it was the most unstoppable trio the league had ever seen, but injuries limited them to only 8 regular season games together. In the first round of the playoffs against Boston, they looked like a video game, averaging 124 points per night. Kyrie dominated his former team and stomped on the Celtics logo, drawing hate from fans. But in round 2 against Milwaukee, disaster struck. Kyrie sprained his ankle, Harden hurt his hamstring, and Durant's infamous toe-on-the-line 3 kept them from advancing. The Bucks went on to win the title, and the what-ifs started to build. By 2022, drama replaced excitement. Kyrie refused the New York vaccine mandate, which banned him from home games. The Nets benched him completely, then allowed him back only for road games. He returned in style, torching the Bulls with Durant, but it didn't last. More absences, another KD injury, and James Harden finally demanded a trade. Just like that, the super team was broken before it began. Ironically, days later, the mandate was lifted and Kyrie could play full-time again. But by then, it was too late. The team limped into the playoffs, only to be swept by Boston. To make matters worse, Kyrie flipped off a fan, earning a $50,000 fine. The narrative was set. When Kyrie is around, chaos follows. The offseason brought even more drama. Durant demanded a trade and told the Nets to fire Coach Nash and GM Sean Marks or let him go. Ownership refused, keeping everyone in place, but the 2023 season started as a mess. Ben Simmons wasn't himself, the defense collapsed, and Brooklyn lost 6 of its first 8. Nash was fired, and just when things seemed ready to implode, Kyrie created another storm. He posted a link to an anti-Semitic film and refused to apologize, leading to an 8-game suspension and outrage across the league. Sponsors cut ties, and many thought his career might be over. But in typical Kyrie fashion, the story flipped again. He came back, role players stepped up, and Brooklyn surged to second place in the East by mid-season. It looked like redemption. But behind the scenes, Kyrie wanted a max extension. The Nets, burned too many times by his unpredictability, refused. Feeling disrespected, he demanded out. Days later, he was traded to Dallas for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and draft picks. Durant was shipped to Phoenix shortly after, ending the Nets era before it even truly began. Now in Dallas, the doubts followed him again. Critics called it a mistake to give him a $126 million extension after the Mavs missed the playoffs in 2023. But Kyrie showed flashes of his old brilliance, playing beside Luka Doncic with a calmer focus. Once again, his career stood at crossroads. This was the rise, the fall, and the rise again of Kyrie Irving, proof that his story is never simple, always dramatic, and still unfinished.
In 2024, everything felt different. Kyrie stayed healthy, focused, and delivered some of the most efficient basketball of his entire career. He joined the rare 25-5-5 club, came just a hair away from the legendary 50-40-90 season, and gave fans highlight after highlight, from the alley-oop dunk against his former Nets to that unbelievable left-handed game winner against Denver. But more than the numbers or the highlights, it was his mindset that stood out. Kyrie wasn't running from the noise anymore. He embraced it, spoke with maturity, and built real chemistry with Luka and the Mavericks. Together they fought through giants, the Clippers, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, knocking off 3 50-win teams just to reach the finals. And even though Boston stopped them short of the title, the redemption was already complete. For once there was no drama, no chaos, just brilliance on the court and respect off it. Kyrie Irving, after years of being called toxic, selfish, even a locker room cancer, had finally reminded the world why they once called him a wizard with the ball. And now the question is yours. Do you think Kyrie's story ends with a championship ring, or has he already found his redemption? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you loved this journey, don't stop here. Click on the next video and keep the story going.